Honorable Katuntu, does the PLU have significance on a political platform in Uganda?
But I saw a message that Katuntu is welcoming MK project in his area.
I was welcoming MK supporters, like indeed I welcome NOP, I welcome NRM, because I'm an independent. I mean, I don't have any people for myself. I welcome everybody.
So you can get a vote from everybody.
That's what, actually, not that I can. That's what I do. Yes, and that's why I win convincingly.
Right. So PLU, will it have significance?
Okay, let me raise the conversation a little bit.
Before you raise, we want to welcome you from Bugweri and thank you for hosting us. For Taresita, I must say already that you are a very good host and a good mobilizer. Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
I was there.
Yes, as you come in, says Tanbula Kampa says PLU is one of the groups that will be mobilizing for President Yoweri Museveni come 2025-2026. That's Akampa. Then we have our regular listener, Medday in Palisa. Says, good morning, gang. Today you are applying higher order thinking questions that some people are not answering. So,
okay, let us look at this. What is the current status of our politics in this country? The NRM has been in power for the last almost 40 years. So is President Yoweri Museveni. Is it the time to talk about a transition? Has that transition started happening? And how are Ugandans stationing themselves post-President Museveni, post-NRM? That's what is going on. Including post-NRM, I can tell you, because when you look at the people who are in PLU, they are basically like when we founded FDC. And let me take you back to a little bit of history, Oscar. When we founded PAFO, and I was there on that desk when that idea came. That idea came from somebody who many people don't talk about. Good enough I've documented it. I know the time, the day when the conversation started. It was Guma Guminsiriza. Is that who started it? And that meeting, there was Major Johnny Kazora, there was Captain Charles Ruhanga, there was myself, there was Ben Watcher, and there was the late Bernadette Bigirwa. You get it from Bushenya at that time. So that is how we started PAFO. And when the idea came, it was about a third force. Because one, they were telling me that my UPC was gone and did not come back to power. And they would think we need to be thinking about a third force that can compete with the NRM. And thereafter, nobody can tell you PAFO was founded because it was a parliamentary advocacy forum, but it was not. The idea actually was a political party as a third force. Then it metastasized to Forum for Democratic Change. When we co-opted a one-man party of Chapa Karuhanga, then we co-opted people who had been in reform agenda. Because remember, I had campaigned for Kizza Besigye, but I was not part of the reform agenda because me, I was UPC at that time. I remember John Kazora, then Major Honorable retired. He brought the idea of, look here, we need somebody who is senior, we need somebody who is more experienced, and we need somebody who is NRM, who is not looked at it as an oppositionist. And that time we zeroed on Mzee Augustine Rizindana. So that is how this FDC was started. When I saw this MK movement, I saw PLA, and I just knew, and let us not lie to ourselves, it is a political party. I mean, it would be disingenuous. It would be stupid if we think there is some pressure group there. I don't know pressure against what and for what. It is a group coalescing to compete for political power. That's how we should look at it.
Finish that sentence. To compete with NRM?
With anybody. And I can tell you, this could be the time of winding up the NRM. Let me say this again, and you will quote me. I think the NRM is being wound up. This is the beginning of winding up of the NRM. and please quote me, yes, today. or even the listeners, they'll remember.
I was going for a break, but let us finish this thread. Even Katesh is looking at you.
And actually, let me tell
You
you,
are causing
Katesh, my
Katesh
brother,
big.
politics is about speculation. It's about, especially, when we study history, we study to enrich our future, get the lessons from the past and say how we can define the future. But people, as I always say, study history to pass exams. They don't pick lessons out of the past. And that's what people should be looking at. And let me tell you why. Today, if President Yoweri Museveni is not the head of NRM, I just want anybody to imagine
Ivan,
whether it is my brother Semuju here, Ivan, Katesh, or Lydia, or even yourself, the moderator. Just imagine if President Yoweri Museveni today is not at the helm of NRM or is not around. What is the future of this? What do you call it? Massive party called NRM. Look at the people who are really now pushing the PLA. Look at them. PLU.
Who are the people pushing?
Oh, look at them. These ones who started it, really, they were there. But now the thing is crystallizing, I'm telling you. And now you look at the names coming, whether you're talking about my brother Tumwebaze, you are talking about Kasolo, you are talking about Mukula, you are talking about all these members of parliament Ibrahim was talking about. All of them are NRM. Are they looking at their future in NRM today? You need to talk to them honestly. That's why I was saying Katesh should be serious on this. Because for us, we talk freedom, including with the Semuju, I'm sure they talk to him about it. In the corridors of power and so on, in the corridors of parliament. We discuss this thing honestly. And they are telling you, look here, there is a problem with the NRM as it is now. It doesn't have a future. It could be a baggage in the future. Let us look at the demographic of this country, Oscar. We have a child population. Tell me, what is in NRM today that will attract the younger people? Just tell me where you can go and you massively recruit younger people. Tell me, if you are going to compete for the presidency of NRM or chairmanship of the NRM today, and President Museveni is not a candidate, just imagine the chaos that will be in the national resistance movement. So people should be discussing this thing, wholesome. So look here, I think, things are starting to work themselves post-President Yoweri Museveni, post-national resistance movement. My own speculation and reading is that General MK, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, has realized, and his strategies, that, President Museveni built NRM. Everything about NRM was built around President Yoweri Museveni. Can he inherit that infrastructure which the father built? Maybe not. Maybe not. So he's also trying to build his own thing. And that's why I think Ivan is talking about age and so on. He's not so much interested in the 70-year-old, the 80-year-old. Actually, there's a little bit of contradiction and conflict between those senior politicians, especially in the NRM. So he's building his own thing, like indeed President Museveni built his own NRM. And whether you have that infrastructure which is building compete with NRM, I don't think so. Let me tell you why I don't think so. Then I go off the microphone.
Yeah, before you go.
Because NRM may not be there. That's why I said it was being wound up. So this infrastructure Moses is going to build is going to be competing with now what we know as the opposition.
Abdul, when Patricia is standing here, we are about to go for a break, but you can squeeze in a quick answer. At least you have been answering questions. People like Lydia Wanyoto, who at one time is seated Tarehe. The question is to Abdul, not Lydia. In the same week, Lydia will go to Tarehe Sita. Hold on, we are going for easy one. 1 week she will go to Tarehe Sita and sit next to President Museveni. Then the following week she will go to MK movement and sit next to MK himself. So people like Lydia, are they two legs, one leg here, the other leg there? Question to Abdul. No, the question has gone to Abdul.
Okay, I think that sort of contradiction is about to wind away. don't get so much bothered by it, because I know where they will be tomorrow. That's for sure. Today, but, nobody can even tell you there is a NRM to be talking about tomorrow.
Get full. Okay. And now that one has become a campaign feature. But his opponent is only 2 years younger.
2 years younger, but they also forget both of them.
Yeah, they both forget.
They start referring to President so who is already dead. They refer to people they have never met. It's just a confusion, and then senility setting in for especially the current president. The other
how old are they?
80.
Biden, I think, is 80-something.
80-something.
Biden isn't him 70s age.
No,
at
he's
that
older.
Age,
He's older.
Those things begin.
Okay.
Trump might be the same age.
Yeah.
Trump is 70s age.
Trump is a little bit stronger, even physically, compared to Joe Biden. Yeah, and so on. But let me tell you one thing, Oscar, to go back to our local politics. I don't see PLU being a political party before the next elections. It is just going to remain a pressure group. However,
before the next election.
Meaning that 2026, the NRM candidate will certainly be on the ballot, President Museveni.
They are saying
Go on.
Then after that, I see that that's when NRM now will start winding up formally. Formally. And by that time...
You're not like someone who says it doesn't exist. You're kind of using the same words.
Yes.
Formally.
Yes.
No, mine is formally.
That is the distinction.
That is the distinction.
Yeah. It will start winding up formally, and you'll see a lot of movement.
Yeah.
And alliances and allegiances and loyalty being exhibited
Abdul,
by
allow me
many
to
people.
speculate as well. I was thinking of a situation where you have NRM in power and the leader of opposition in parliament is PLU.
No, that will not happen.
It will not happen.
No, that will not happen. What will remain of NRM will be weaker. PL is going to be most of, especially the young people within the NRM, the leadership. I see them joining the PLA or PLU, PLU, and then I also see that by that time, General Kainerugaba would have formally retired from the army next term after 26, and he will be a full-blown politician. And I'm telling you, the real politics of transition will start after 2026.
Ivan, you're burning to make a comment.
No, so Abdu is reading the situation very well.
By the way, we sent him a letter inviting him to Capital Gang. So, General MK. So we hope one day he will make it.
I am sure he will one day come up. But Abdu is reading the situation very well. You see, there is general consensus that the NRM as it is today has grown progressively lethargic and like its flexibility as a political institution to withstand this generational shift in demography and the demands of political competition in the present age are increasingly becoming restrained.
Even when Museveni is a lucky man, even when he should be the one to be referred to, they will say NRM.
It is NRM.
NRM has younger people. Can't say that it is
no,
just one person who is tired.
It is increasing. Somebody will have his time.
You put it there that
So the conversation,
Museveni.
if you look at when the General MK was commenting about these things, about issues in KCCA, when he was talking about, the MK himself has referred to the party as a reactionary organization. Some of these criticisms happen internally, and they are grumbles about the functioning, but like any healthy institution, political institution should be, So for the PLU is a realization that perhaps this conversation cannot meaningfully happen internally, or there is no sufficient room to have this conversation internally. So we are creating another platform where people are unencumbered and can publicly debate these issues and mobilize to succeed this institution. That is why I agree with the parallels Abdul is drawing between PAFO and reform agenda and the PLU, because the reform agenda was initially led by people who were previously movementists. PAFO was people like the Windman, people who had grievances, legitimate grievances internally, and then decided to say, look, internally there is no longer sufficient room to have healthy debate on this matter. So let's create a platform where we'll be free to debate and mobilize around these issues. That is what PLU is offering, a platform for people, for the for people within the NRM establishment.
Ivan, as you go off microphone, can people like Lydia and Katesh risk to have a discussion like that? You see, the people in NRM, the platform, including a member of SEC.
The platform that Katesh has in is what Honorable Kabanda has. They are both NRM members of Parliament.
No, you have said more. You have agreed with Abdul that NRM is dying.
Yeah.
And Katesh will not say that on air, that NRM is dying.
I am not saying.
Hold on, Katesh. Let me ask him. I'll come to you. Abdul has said NRM is dying. Semujo has said NRM is dead. And then when Abdul says it will be no more after 2026.
This is a question. You see.
Well, we have the experience. We know how parties die.
What is uncontested?
You don't have any.
All these words
yes,
are really describing a common thing. The idea that the party the NRM as it is as a party is perhaps no longer
Semujo, I have suffered in this classroom. You ask someone a question. The question. Let me repeat the question. Yeah. Abdul and Nidia. So let me repeat the question so that Ivan hears it well. So the comments that you are aligning yourself with Abdul that NRM is dying. So can Lydia?
I may not.
Can Lydia?
I am not.
No. Let me ask the question. So can Lydia, a member of SEC, NRM, and Katesh, an NRM member of Parliament, can they align to such sentiments?
You see, for me,
let me ask him. I will ask you.
You see. There is a slight. There is a slight difference between me and Abdul. A very slight one. One, he's saying NRM is dying. For me, I'm saying that the NRM has internal challenges as an institution, that the people who are seeking to address those challenges are seeking to create a parallel platform to address these same challenges. And let me tell you, Katesh has already on record said he identifies with the mission and the issues being advanced by PLU. I don't think anybody here contests that mission, PLU's mission or its agenda. All they are saying is that, look, for now they are NRM members, but they are entertaining this conversation at the right time. They will.
Okay, thank you. Let's Katesh, let's have Lydia before you, because she's burning. Lydia,
I just want to give our listeners.
So, will you agree with?
Now you're asking questions.
But that's my job, to ask questions.
But I have
so
some
will you
response.
agree? Yes, you'll rope all the response in there. Do you agree with Katuntu that NRM is dying, and after 2026 you may stand for PLU?
Of course, I cannot agree with Katuntu, because we like, for example, we all on this table on the gang, we shall one day die. But you never wake up in the morning to die. So I'm a member of the NRM party and a leader. That is very important. Every day I wake up, I would like my party to live. If it dies, that's another matter in the future. But for today, let me give you information also, is that we are just planning to begin fixing our register. The yellow books will soon go to the village. Every village in Uganda is going to have our members register. From there, we shall have our structures, elections, and then we shall have flag bearers who are going to compete to join government, including the presidential candidate. Now, if I'm telling you what's happening in my party, but it's very interesting to see people to see people
yes.
whose parties have died, or the or who left their parties,
as
or the parties
told you, they have experience in dying.
First, wait, either their parties left them or they left their parties to begin wishing us also to die. That's not a very good thing about.
If you had a cancer patient,
so yes, we shall die. No, okay. If we are to die, you cannot wish me death when I'm still alive. I mean that you are witches, you are wizards. This is not fair. Huh? So nice. Our party wishes to live, and we do everything to survive. And let me just, I was laughing at my brother here. Ivan is talking about generation that the NRM party, even members of parliament who attended the launch are members of the NRM, and I don't think that the issue of debate, one of our youth, who was our youth leader, the NRM chairman for Uganda, was David Kabanda. So you cannot begin talking about generations. NRM has younger people, and they have forums they discuss. They debate now. Yeah, we have a whole structure. It's not about generation. It's about the presidential seat. Because the Parliament of Uganda, I'm a lawyer in my own right, but also I'm an interested politician. I sat for 2 days to read and analyze the parliamentary direction. Katuntu, you're one of the few senior members of parliament now. Majority of members of parliament, I don't even know why we have youth seats. Why we have youth seats for youth. Because majority of your members of parliament are below the age of 40, 43. So what age is the Ivan discussing? Okay. It's about finding some nice words. It is the seat and the interest of the presidential seat.
That's why they are now running it to Piero.
Yes.
Piero A.
So there is no even Piero A will need the blessings of the NRM, including that old man you are saying is old. He has a very big key to the decision of who becomes the next candidate that will win the presidential election.
Of course.
So and Kateshi will bear me witness. The tone, Ivan, listen to this. Not about age. The tone of those who want to take up that seat with the hope of winning have changed their methods. You have to be nice. You have to be inviting to the power that be, than to be antagonistic. This age talk, you reduce it and start negotiating to take the seat.
Katesh.
I have told you for free you are not going to pay.
Oscar, you have
Katesh.
But
Katesh is on. Lydia, Katesh is now on microphone. You have spoken.
One of the topics you have.
Yes. After Katesh, we go to Semojo.
Younger people,
How many times do you
we
have to
have
conclude?
women, we have people with disability, we have veterans, and we have the chairman of our party who is
Thank
President
you,
Yoweri
Lydia.
Museveni.
Thank you, Lydia. So after Katesh, we have Semojo, then Katuntu.
Oscar.
Right.
Last week while I was away, I met someone from Sudan, a gentleman. And I know it's one of the topics we are going to discuss, but the issue here is how do we manage transition? How do we manage the era, post the era we are in, to avoid chaotic change and that has happened in the neighborhood? So for me, I don't want to sit here and say Abdul is the Honorable Abdul Katuntu partially.
It's not wishing that way.
Honorable Abdul Katuntu. Of course, I would understand because I think he has seen what has happened in his party and Semujo here. But I want to tell you that NRM party is grounded up to the grassroots. It is not something that you expect a sudden death. There will be a transition.
Let them record these statements for posterity.
We are recording them.
Yes. This party has structures up to the grassroots. Up to every village,
you're going to
including Semujo's village and Honorable Katuntu's village. We have structures.
There is a yellow book.
There is a yellow book. So for you to think that it's going to suddenly...
All of it was UPC. Where did the structures...
Semojo, you are going to speak next. Make a note.
So for you to think that it's just going to fizzle away, there will be transition.
Where did the structures of UPC...
PLU is going to play a role in the next elections. Certainly, they are playing a role. You have seen they are all members of NRM, plus now the opposition, which is joining. They will be in the campaigns. We shall deliver our candidate as NRM, supported by PLU. And then, if there is going to be transition post-2026, there will be a seamless transition. The structures of NRM cannot just be, because if you say PLU, this is a
If you say that PLU, you continue. If you say that, yeah.
Yes,
You can say Patriotic League.
Yeah, Patriotic League. It's a new. We are all getting used to it. It is a pressure group. Ultimately, if it is going to transform into a political party post His Excellency Yoweri Museveni, the structures of NRM will have to be part of that group. And so what Honorable Lydia is talking about, the approach, the mobilization, it has to take advantage of the masses that are under NRM. That even if you have President Museveni post 2026, he says he's not running again in 2031, we have a whole structure, and you cannot just say it is dead and abandoned and a new one crops up. As much as I agree, the new generation of the age demographics is a very big factor. We have been in campaigns, we have seen young people who may not want to, when you talk about NRM, the party has not done much to try and mobilize and register these young people. They are looking at something that they can associate with, but that does not take away our massive structure, that is deeply rooted up to every cell. So there will be a mix, there will be a hybrid of the existing structures.
Thank you, Katesh.
And the new pressure group.
You are going round this thing.
That can
let's go to Semuju, who was next in line. Then when we finish, in putting hands up. Putting hands up. Ivan, hold on. So,
Oscar,
you want to read the question for him?
Yes, a comment.
Read it.
Who's Twitter?
No, it is people following the discussion. Someone is saying, Semuju says nobody in NRM is allowed to discuss the transition except the M7 family. But he deliberately ignores the fact that the majority of the people in PLU are members of NRM, some even holding high leadership positions in the party. So what is that?
In fact, that's what I was going to ask him.
Because you are saying nobody can debate.
Ivan, that's what I was going to ask Semuju. That do you believe people now can have these sacrilegious thoughts to think like Katesh says, post Museveni? And is that why you have a member of SEC gagging them, looks at Ivan, says, tone your language down, stop being confrontational. So stop being confrontational, be kind, tone it down. So these thoughts, are they allowed to think of?
Mike Mukula is the vice chairperson of the party for Eastern.
The question was going to Semuju, and you supplemented it.
Oscar, you see, the question that you are asking me, his answer. So the answer to that question was provided at the beginning of this show. That every person you were asking was non-committal. It is just after the show.
Someone said it is the hardest question in the history of Ghana. No, you are not in when the show NRM
was on. And I gave you a history of how Museveni has kept people guessing and how they have suffered heart attacks. And even these ones, when we are with Andrew Mwenda, and Andrew Mwenda has been very honest. First, he says you will not have Muhoozi contesting against his father. That Andrew said. And then he said the only reason that Muhoozi might be maybe a good prospect is that it gives him comfort. That Andrew has said many times. I've been with him. The others are pretending. They are saying that the reason Muhoozi is raising up, NRM is tired, NRM is a generation. No. The debate the debate is Museveni's age now. I disagree with Abdul when he compares this PLU of Muhoozi with Pafo. You see, the people who have worked with Museveni and the opposition that joined hands, they did so at the time Museveni was plotting to stay in power. They actually, from the onset, set out to remove him. So the Abdus of PAFO and the FDC, which I joined later, their intention was to remove Museveni.
true.
The intention of this group is actually not to remove Museveni. And that's why it has kept everybody
but to
speculating.
succeed.
Exactly. So these ones are waiting. Either he dies or he becomes sympathetic and he says, I am...
So you have heard of now and then next.
Yes. So, or he becomes sympathetic and he says, I am now tired. The same way Charles was waiting for his mother for generations. And as soon as the man gets the throne, he also gets sick. That's why you, the Ivan, I sympathize with you. This Museveni is like a Mugabe. Even at 93, Mugabe wanted to continue ruling Zimbabwe. He had to be removed forcefully. And unfortunately for you, the person that you think can...
Well, he was very sad.
Yes. No, even when they went to plead with him, because you see, they even continued celebrating his birthday after his removal. They were very sympathetic. They didn't want to drag him out of the presidency. They hold a meeting in the morning, sir, we want you to leave. But the tanks were rolling on the street. And he said, no, you call a meeting of sake. I will tell you what to do. So you have a similar problem in Uganda. You have a Mugabe-like person in power. And that's why, because you are not like Abdu and his group who said, no, Museveni must stop there, he must respect the constitution. If he refuses, we must go for him. For you, you are running behind Museveni's son, who's waiting for death or for sympathy. And Charles waited until the mother died. And you have seen, he came in very old. So this project of yours, of MK, you may have to wait, except if you come and join us and we remove the old man who you have said is tired, but you are fearing. Then you begin choosing NRM of being a tired generation. But NRM, first of all, it's not, but people who support it, some of them are young people who support Museveni. So you can't accuse them of old age. The only factor, as I told you, see, Ugandans can be dishonest. I have told you, Oscar, here, the debate on removal of term limit, Museveni said, no, we should go. He was the only one person that the constitution was saying after serving 2 terms, you go. But he said, don't debate me. You debate the merits and the demerits. So this is what you are doing, dishonest debate. Let's discuss Museveni. He can no longer function as a leader. He's tired, he's old. But because you want to pretend generation.
So, Honorable Semejo, after the break, we'll go to Honorable Abdul
Can I conclude?
You have concluded. Welcome from the break. This is the Capital Gang. Great discussion. We had other topics for discussion. I don't know if we'll get to them. So, Abdul, you had a response to Lydian Katesh.
Yeah. I hope both are students of history, but some of us not only are we students of history, but we lived that history. In 1985, when the Uganda People's Congress government, which my father served at a very, very high level, collapsed, the UPC party...
Someone has said on Twitter, this is Billy Augustus, give Katesh uniform, he's a newcomer. That comment, Mbu, NRM has structures everywhere.
Okay, now, actually, I don't know why you're even talking about what... he's talking about what I'm going to have an opinion on. You see, the UPC was preparing for the next gen elections. 1985. And all villages were in that mood. And when the Rutua regime, the Rutua junta announced that they had overthrown the UPC, many UPC functions at the village level didn't believe. Because it was not like it's possible. Each and every village in this country had a UPC structure. Chairman and so on, and vibrant ones. And I must say this, in Kateshi's village,
it was the home.
That was, no, not home, the cradle of the Uganda People's Congress. Immediately UPC was out of power. I can tell you, those structures fizzled out, and I can tell you, Lydia says you wish people death and so on, but you need to look at that history, and you see how they vanished in thin air. And that is the nature of human beings. Within 1 year, tracing UPC on, actually 6 months, tracing UPC on the ground was literally like tracing water in a desert. It was terrible. So when you're in government, Oscar, you've got structures which are appended to the state. And they are, you'll find a part all over the place. and so on. Get out of of government today, and you look for the structures Katesh is talking about. But some of the UPCs are dying, but others are still alive. Ask them. They will give. I'm sure even your parents must have been UPCs. Yeah, you transited to the NRM. That is what we are telling. That's what we are telling you. We
have our member here, the everlasting Joseph Otieno.
Yes, they'll tell you what happened. That is number one. Number two, and this is quite interesting. Even Katesh and Lydia, Nan is talking about this very, very gigantic NRM competing post-1926 for political power. That's why they are saying, you talk to us properly. Stop the confrontation, then we will be able to hand over. You get it? What we are discussing today, at least if you are like President Museveni, and that's why many people get him wrong, those who misread him. They think he's talking about 2-3 years today. He's always talking about things far ahead little of everybody. So if you are discussing Ugandan politics today, don't tell me anything between now and 26. We should be looking at even beyond 26, what would the political configuration be? And none of them is telling you that NRM is positioning itself somehow after 26. None. We seem that all agree that after 26, circumstances are that NRM will not be all that a competitive player. So, Oscar, whether we want it or not, there is a transition coming. And what we are discussing today is politics of transition. And the post 26, you are going to have PLU together with another group called now NUP. Because even this, because I can see even many people in FDC currently may be in NUP tomorrow. No, I don't want to go to names. I can see people who are in UPC may be in NUP tomorrow. So if you are looking at the competing viable forces, it will be PLU versus NUP. And let me tell you one thing, Oscar.
Final sentence.
Even somebody reminds me about when we were founding actual FDC. I remember going to Bugolobi to Mama's place, Mama Cecilia, and I just said them, I'm going. Because I sought permission from UPC at that time to join FDC. And there was a group, I'm going to tell you the name is really later off air. But we are saying, look here, for us, as long as those NRMs are there, don't even associate. And to them, there is no, they don't associate with people from the NRM. And for them, they remain in that UPC. And that group actually never associated with the VSA because they didn't want anything to do with anybody who was what? NRM. They even went ahead actually to sort of compete.
Anybody who took power from them.
Yes. So even now I can see there are people in the Orthodox opposition who is like anything to do with the NRM, President Museveni can only be overthrown. They don't even want to talk about, okay, even if he lives now, either by nature or on his own.
I am one of those.
I don't want to mention
who don't
this.
believe that Museveni can hand over to his son and I associate with his son.
Thank you.
No, I am one of those.
Abdul, you're done. Let's go to Ivan. Conclude in 2 sentences because you started the topic.
The other group in my UPC. That group.
You started. Ivan started the topic. So 2 sentences on conclusion of a. Hold on, and then after you've concluded, you take us to Tarehe Sita. I'm not so sure we'll have enough time to discuss Sudan.
Okay. So my conclusion on the PLO discussion is that it is a welcome conversation, and it is ripe. It is a ripe. It is the conversation that PLU is championing is a ripe one.
What is that conversation?
The microphone is off, Honorable Assembly.
And for people who are looking for change with continuity, non-disruptive change with continuity, change with reform but with continuity. PLU is an ideal front. An ideal group.
As you go to Tarehe Sita, Abdul Elizabeth tells you Trump is too old and incited a coup, and Biden is too old and mixes up names. So, Tarehe Sita, 43 years of UPDF.
It is UPDF, formerly NRA, formerly PRA, formerly FRONASA. So that shows, in fact, the naming, the nomenclature of the name shows the transition that the force has come through, and each transition has come with reform, with more professionalism to the army that we have now. The FRONASA outfit that started was a college of Museveni's high school friends and passionate people who voluntarily took up military training to be able to have a say in the politics of the country that were at that time dominated by the DP and the UPC and the UPC. From FRONASA in 1981, when it attacked Kavamba, and which is the occasion we celebrate every Tarehe Sita, it attacked Kavamba as PRA, which was Popular Resistance Army. Then it transitioned into NRA after merging with the Yusuf Rulezi outfit, forming NRA. Every rebranding has come with the reform and professionalization of the army. And UPDF perhaps is also unique because I think it was one of the few armies that really actively, or even perhaps championed, a constitutional making process of any country, because in the National Resistance Council that drafted the 1995 Constitution had a very prominent membership of the soldiers, of the NRA soldiers. Unfortunately for Uganda, these were brilliant, educated men, the Tinyefuzas, the Nobu Mayombos, the Tumukundes, who are the people now that
you nearly said Chiza Besige.
Even Chiza Besige, he was a very prominent member. At that time, I think he had been National Political Commissar and all. But they were all very educated, young
So,
people.
Do you think UPDF will ever go Sudan way?
No.
Never.
No, never.
Because
I would also want to be on record. The NRA UPDF, because there is something, I don't remember who said that an army without political education is a soldier without political education is a potential criminal, or is a potential criminal. Oscar, that even the most initial challenge to the Museveni establishment movement was led by these soldiers themselves. Kiza Besigye, who led the first breakaway, or even David Tinyefuza, who was the first soldier to contest the powers of the military under the constitution that was made in 1995. These were soldiers themselves. They made the constitution and tested it out by challenging the commander-in-chief and all of that. Now the army has migrated from the time it was led by Kazini and his acolytes, people who were not as educated or as professionalized, to now the successive command of Aronda, Wamala, David Muhozi, Katumba, and General Badi, all of whom are very educated, some master's level and all very educated and professional soldiers. So people who have here, I'm sure that the people, and that is why recently there has been a sort of revisionism, more trying to draw parallels, with the meantime and all. But people who have lived in those eras are always the first to quickly say, even despite NRM's limitations, the idea of state-inspired insecurity and violence, of the 1980s and 1970s, is far removed from the Uganda of today.
We have less time for this topic.
Where you can have military officers championing.
Thank you, Ivan. Pass microphone to Lydia. Tarehe Sita, 43rd. Do you agree with Ivan that we have a very professional army?
I would like to congratulate the people of Bugweri, starting with Honorable Katuntu here and his colleague Honorable Magola Rachel for the mobilization, especially for the day, but also the week, what they call the Army Week, because the whole of Busoga participated in too many activities, those that are like sports, construction of health centers, remembering the people that contributed to the governance we have today, like the late Chirunda Chive Jinja and the others. So it was a very well organized function, and the people were many, they mobilized, but also the message sank. about the contribution of the military, but also being crowned as a people's army. The way they did the CIMIC, the civil military relations, came out very well. The army has not only grown in number, but also grown in services. They have the land forces, they have the air force, they have the training arm, they have many services, and now they are the SFC. All these branches are now operational and they are specialized. So we can talk about the professional army, but also the branding away from our history. In the past, we used to have the history of saying that the army was too militant, it was anti-people. We talk about the issue of people being killed by using the army as a tool for scoring political agenda, but also for political, maneuvers. But now the army has been transformed to be a community darling that works with the people and also serves people. They've also been able to transform and advance to service that is a service beyond the war. Because while we look at them in uniform and guns, they have also now advanced to say the military can contribute to the social transformation of the country. So they are into construction. You've had them even including Kampala State handling roads. They did the other day. They did for us a terminal at the airport. They've been able to build health centers. They are in the construction of roads infrastructure in the country, and also schools and health centers. So that shows that they've gone beyond just the military arm of protection into conflicts. So now they are doing other than war, a lot of work other than war, which is a very important and advanced contribution to the country. And because of their training of discipline, resilience, they are able to do work in a timely manner, but with meager resources compared to their civilian counterpart. And that's a good culture and a good discipline to inculcate when they are relating with the civilian leaders and civilian congregation. Now, it has been an army week, but because of what they do and with the resources they have, people are beginning to say, now let's have a month's week, an army month, so that they zero off a zone and they do what they call good practice, or a good example, so that they can, the others, the civilian component can now pick it on from there. So if it is branding, they have branded. But also for the side of civilians, we've learned that working with them, maybe we begin preaching a new culture of governance into our country. And we should not begin preaching doom that because the FDC died, NRM will die. Because the military of Amini was bad, even the future will be bad. There is always the good. We learn lessons and go to the good. So we are seeing a military story that works good. And like I've said, they've gone beyond the conflict of arms now to work other than war, which is us actually that is showing that they can do much even better as people are doing outside work outside the war. Thank you.
Katesh, you agree?
I agree.
Professional military?
Professional.
Predicting and speculating on what Semoju will say?
I mean, when I was growing up, let me not go into that story of 1970s.
Though you are still growing up.
Yes, when I was young, I witnessed the brutality.
So for you are not in this generation. Which generation are you now?
I was a very, very young
kid.
Let me switch off Lydia's microphone.
I was. I remember the soldiers who came to our home in the night and demanded, of course, to be fed, they were fed, and in the morning they carried what they carried, left us, and one of them came back and warned. He happened to know the language my mother was speaking, and said that we are planning to come and finish you and take the property. And then that's the army that was then. At that time, any sight of a soldier, you would just run away. Right now, the UPDF, which has transited from what my colleague has mentioned, is a completely different professional army. that we are all proud of. A sight of a soldier, you don't need to, run away. They have been able to undertake their mission, which is largely to defend, protect the territorial and sovereignty of Uganda. All our borders are safe, corner to corner. At least people can sleep knowing that there is an army that look out for them. But beyond that, Oscar, this army has played a very, very big role in the region in terms of peacekeeping missions, stabilizing the region in Somalia, DRC, Chad, Equatorial Guinea, many other places. So it is there for everyone to see. And most importantly, the way it is structured, the command and control, you do not have people leaving barracks or going everywhere with guns and terrorizing the people. So there is, it is highly, tightly structured, and for me, that is very good. But we have seen, like my colleague has mentioned, in my constituency, Kawe Health Center 4 is being upgraded, and it's being done by Engineering Brigade. And they are doing a very, very good job. They have worked with the population. The work that they are doing is professional. Everybody is happy that they are doing work. In fact, I think almost all other infrastructure works that will take place, UPDF will undertake them. We have seen UPDF and deal with disasters. When we had the locusts, when we have had all these landslides, UPDF have been there. I think as we celebrate, now we need to look at the future. Because how do we support our army to acquire capabilities for the future? Especially if you look at the 4 dimensions: land, air, sea, and space. Because as Africa, we are still single dimensional, but we have now global powers that are dominating the 4 dimensions: the space, the air, the sea, and land. So perhaps the discussion will be in the next many years to come. How do we support UPDF to acquire? We have seen drones coming up. We have had defense systems, anti-missile defenses. Countries are acquiring all this. So now it is time to look at how do we strengthen our UPDF into the future.
Okay, thank you. You talk about drones, good part of the discussion, because even the drones here in Uganda, there's a reference. People usually say, what color of drone do you want to pick you up? So you have taken us. But now Semuju is on. Semuju is coming on microphone. We are out of time.
Don't talk about the drone.
I think you are being unfair to Semuju.
I don't know whether you don't see these things. When someone makes a comment, they say, what drone is? He spoke very well.
With the drone.
But he's the one that opened that area. So Dr. Namara says to you, I disagree strongly with Abdul, who is a prophet of doom today. Many said such on CCM, albeit differences. That is why Museveni needs to stick around to ensure smooth transition. The fact that Kanu and Reform died does not spell death to NRM. Internal challenges are normal, and they will be dealt with. Crispy Kaheru says Abdul Katuntu has nailed it. This is a political group, a political party in the making. There's one other one I liked. Kaswara, PLU is posturing for the post-Museveni era. You will not have last word, Honorable Semuju. I will trust Honorable Katuntu today with the last word.
My word can come at the beginning or at the end. Oscar, let me draw a parallel. Robert Mugabe, the revolutionary leader of Zimbabwe, his birthday was being celebrated every year. His colleagues were even good. Even after removing him, they staged another one. The last one celebrated when he was in power, 2017. And they spent about $2 million. At that time, it was believed, like you see in Uganda, that Grace Mugabe is taking over. Now it is Muhoozi. member of Mugabe's family. And in fact, she was being described in the media as the front runner to succeed the husband. Now we have a son.
She nearly did. She had sacked.
That's why I am
crocodile.
That's why I am doing the parallel. Eventually, she didn't, but she nearly. But the fact that these days are celebrated, I think all dictators do, because there is nothing UPDF about Tarehe Sita. This is the day Museveni and his group criminals went to attack a government barracks. A fully-fledged government. Criminals pick guns, go and attack it. And when they go into government, they want the whole country to remember the day they went to attack.
But we didn't like that government then.
It does not
so
matter.
There was a lot of
government.
sympathy.
Even the one of Museveni, I don't like it. So do I pick a gun, go and attack a barracks and then begin celebrating? But all dictators do. Everything is about him. Museveni has been wiser than the Mugabes. He doesn't put his photo on Ugandan currency. He has not named. These days, by the way, he has started a bit, but he was not naming roads after him and schools. I was actually surprised when they put that monument in. It was Museveni, like, because Museveni has been wiser. The smaller things he doesn't follow for them. That's why, in his wisdom, he instead of celebrating his birthday or the day he married, you will have Tarehe Sita, which has nothing to do with the military. Because he had telling me something military about Museveni picking a guns and he attacks a barracks, and then you tell me that this is an armed day. Where?
That is where you.
I am the one on the microphone. Yeah. You are your time. It is just that the country at every stage must be reminded of Museveni, his achievement as a person, you know, and this will be last. Even when the formal ranks in the military were introduced in Rubiri 1987, Charlie Gonza walked away. Why did he do so? Because at the time of formalizing what was NRA, Museveni said, no, it is actually not NRA. He was now giving ranks to people he had been with in what he called Foronasa. You are now celebrating 40-something days. That's why Charlie Gonza, permanently in the UPDF, a member of the historical high command, started at the rank of brigadier, and Museveni, his brother Sare and Rwejema and others started at major general. Yet they were at the same rank. So when they gave him the pips, he put them on his shoulder and walked away in anger. So there is something about Museveni. These young people, you need to read. So when you tell him it is NRA, it is Foronasa. When you tell him it is Foronasa, no, it is entirely group.
Thank you, Honorable.
So you are not talking about UPDF.
Let's have Honorable Katuntu conclude the capital gang.
Is a professional cynic.
But this time, Dr. Namara said it is Abdul who is a prophet of doom.
Well, I think he's head over heels in love with the NRM. But we shall talk 5 years today, Dr. Namara. That's not a problem. And we'll see who'll be right. You know, the Ghana People's Defense Forces is created under the current constitution. Articles 208 does spell out the functions of the Uganda People's Defense Forces. And indeed, actually Article 209, and indeed there are 4. The first one is to preserve, defend the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Uganda. So if you are to be measuring the success of the Uganda People's Defense Forces or the army, you must look at the constitution and say when it was set up, what was it supposed to do? And you'll measure and give them the marks you need, you think. Has the Ghana People's Defense Forces been able to preserve and defend the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Uganda? Number 2 was to cooperate with the civilian authority in emergency situations and in cases of natural disasters. Number 3 was to foster harmony and understanding between the defense forces and the civilians. And then number 4, to engage in productive activities for the development of Uganda. So, in my view, the Uganda People's Defense Forces as it is today, of course you can't run away from its history. It started as a rebel Taga army, which Samuji is talking about, which engaged an established government which was lawfully elected. That is also correct. My own father served the government of Milton Obote, and he was one of those people who were engaging the NRA in the so-called Luero Triangle. He was not, by then the UPC government was not overthrown by NRA. The UNLA overthrew itself. And it provided an opportunity for the NRA to come and sweep the forces that are taken over power. So this ragtag army which Samuji is talking about, of a few individuals, which now has transformed to what it is today, it can only be a success story, nothing else. It's not about being in Luere anymore, but it's about being a national army, professional, well-trained. When you look at the manpower or the human resource within the UPDF today, it is certainly different from that one of the Uganda arm of Idi Amin. It is also different from the one of the Uganda National Liberation Army in terms of training, in terms of qualification of officers, and so on.
Even different from 1986.
Absolutely.
So,
I don't know that
we don't have time. We don't have time. We don't have time. We don't have time.
So
is once yes.
So to
up.
me, I think. Of course, to answer Semuju, all institutions have challenges, because we cannot say UPDF is very powerful, it is disciplined, but doesn't have challenge. It has some challenge,
Thank you.
Many of us should ask the UPDF to continue addressing those challenges, like those things which Katesh talked about.
Nearly fell into. Thank you, Abdul. Thank you, gangsters. Last week we talked about an askari. Last week we talked about an askari in town called, is from Lalia village in Gulu, Benson Omara, ardent listener. Now this week I popped into Capital Radio, and one of the presenters, Malaika, said her dentist called Dr. Deo Mawano told her that I only listened to 2 stations on radio. Said I listened to the BBC and I listened to Capital Gang. Okay. So she asked him, did you say Capital? He said, no. I listened to Capital Gang and I listened to Capital Radio. So now my producer here, Patricia Osman, her sister has written a little book here to give out to children in Tororo. So to give out to children in Tororo, little children to give. But Ivan's children already have. Ivan has a new pickup, so his children have. his children already have, but Ivan can buy for the girls, and we can use the large vehicle to take these books to Tororo. No, I was just saying we can use the pickup to go to Tororo. Star Cafe, thank you so much. Today there was great performance.
I need to congratulate my brother, Martin Wandera,
yes,
who has been a director in the Ministry of Gender. He has been appointed. Can I please for
internationally?
Yes.
Okay.
He's now appointed director of the International Labour Organization, a country office for Pacific Island countries.
Fantastic.
And this is with effect from the 1st of March 2020.
Your friend Justice 17 there as well?
No, say Judge 17. About justice, I don't know, and about being my friend, I don't know.
Thank you.